All right, good evening, everybody. It's Thursday, 6 p.m., just a little bit after the daily candle close that we just had. Price of Bitcoin currently at 17,891. Okay, so let's mark out some levels and let's try to figure out exactly what BTC has done today. Um, I don't think not much, to be honest. Maybe this was our previous level that we were kind of watching. So for the most part, a lot of our levels are converging right around this area right here, 17,875 or so. And I marked out different ranges, different markers that you need to watch. The low of the range is around 17,400 approximately. The mid of the range is somewhere around 17,875. The first high of the range is around 18,275, which is this previous consolidation area before we rolled over. And then the previous high where price, rolled up, took liquidity and, fell off, that's right around 18,500. Okay. So all these levels give us an understanding of exactly where BTC is in terms of the larger range that it's creating. And so far, given that it's right around the mid of the range, I think there's just a pretty large fight between the bulls and the bears trying to defend, both sides of this range. For example, as the bulls are defending the bottom from falling out, and I think the bears are kind of trying to defend as best they can this high of the range, this high of the range, and even these lower highs, as you can see. I wouldn't be surprised, however, if I see that this X over here, which has liquidity of shorts above this key high and then this key high, to be taken over the next day or two, and then pushes up and then rolls back over. Okay. Alternatively, if I'm wrong, okay, there's a few different ways this could play out. All right. If we start pushing up from here, the first level that price needs to get back above and hold is this marker right here, which is 18,275. If it gets above that, it needs to get above this marker and probably hold at least for an hour basis, which is around 18,500. If it does that, the next level to tag is $19,200. Okay, that's the next big level that we have from 2017. Chances are pretty high, in my opinion, that I don't think we're just going to, tag that level and then roll over. I don't think that'll happen. I think the FOMO will be pretty high, and I would not be surprised if we put in, $20,000, $20,200 high or something like that. Okay. Let's check out from a pivot standpoint exactly where that lies. So on a R4 marker basis, we have that R4 converging right around that 2000 weekly level, as you can see. Now the R5 is right around $20,200, which is exactly what I said, right? We might overshoot this 2017 level a little bit, tag this $20,200, and then maybe, drop down. I've spoken about how BTC being in a range could be, the name of the game for the next several days, maybe even a half a week or something. Why? Because Bitcoin has moved up pretty aggressively. And so it makes sense that maybe we just chop around here. Doesn't mean that we're automatically bearish, but it just means that there's a pause in the trend. Price needs to reevaluate itself. That may mean that maybe we need to clean up some excess leverage positions. Maybe more and more people need to sell over here. I don't know. Maybe more people need to get trapped over here. I don't really know. But the point is that the range has been getting pretty well developed since the last couple of days, which is basically what we talked about a couple of days back when I mentioned it on Twitter. Right? I expected that this area right here on the 17 was probably going to be somewhere near the high of the range, and we're probably going to create a range around here, and that's exactly what we've done. Now, so far, because of this range that's being created, altcoins have been doing relatively well. For example, YFI, one of our positions that we've entered from way the heck back here from 21,250 has been doing spectacularly well. And we're currently up from down here. We're currently up almost about 32%. Okay, so that position is doing really, really well. The other position, like for example, ETH, hasn't really moved much, but I'm kind of expecting ETH to do something over the next coming days. Okay. Because this trend line right here that you see right now, okay, so let's throw this on a 1 hour. I'm kind of looking at this trend line just the way I'm looking at this one. I'm hoping for a bit of a breakout. If we get through this trend line, I'm hoping we tag at least 495, $500 once again. Because if we get towards 495 or 500, I wouldn't be surprised if price starts, boosting up higher and higher, because the conditions, in my opinion, are set up quite well where BTC is ranging for a couple days. It's, just chopping around, and ETH should take advantage of that, honestly. But the fact that ETH is not taking advantage of that tells me that BTC is still undecided. The bigger players in the market are still um, either creating a distribution range right here or either creating a reaccumulation range, meaning they're reaccumulating some Bitcoin right here and they're going to drive Bitcoin higher before they drive ETH and other altcoins higher. That's also a possibility, and I am open to being wrong in my thesis that this might range for a couple more days, or we might even roll over to the downside. And I stated, to the downside, I'm honestly not expecting price to just straight up dump to 13 or 14,000 or anything as such. There's many levels in between where we are, all the way down where price will probably get defended really strongly. The first big level that I foresee price will be defended is probably $17,000 flat. Okay, that will be a big defense for the bulls. Beyond that, we might have a sharp wick into 16,700 and maybe 16,225. It's possible, again, it's possible that maybe we get some sharp selling based on the weekly chart all the way into this level, which is 14,000. But again, we got a long way to go to make that argument. I would probably figure we've made it so far up. Maybe we have a bit of a pullback towards 17,000. So maybe we do something like this, right? Roll over 17, boom, tag 20,000, and then roll over to 14, and then, I don't know, reaccumulate here for another month, and then maybe start making our way back up to 21,000, 22, 25, something like that. Again, I'm spitballing here. So, this is not your crystal ball, projection or anything. I'm just saying that if we're looking at straight up technicals, I would expect some of these lower levels to be tagged just as, just a key SR flip. Okay. So we talked about ETH. New pivots have just opened. So on a 15-minute basis, meaning the new daily pivot, we have it right around 472. So if you want to long ETH, possible that you get to go long right around 472. Your stop could probably be down here, somewhere around 462 or 456. If you want to short ETH, the best possibility for a short right now is short here, stop at 495, 496, and then, take this trade down to about 450, maybe 441. Again, that's if you want to go short. Personally, I don't really feel that it's wise to short BTC or alts, but if I were to pick one, I'd probably say shorting alts is probably the more easier choice. Shorting BTC will probably be much more painful due to its ranging nature. It's going to be very hard to predict, very unpredictable rather. And it's probably best that, like I've said before, the easiest trade that you're probably going to find in BTC is, buying the pullbacks. Okay. So I think at present moment, we had this trend line right here. We broke the trend line. That's, again, technical damage right there. And then we retested that same trend line as resistance. So I'm going to delete this one, but I'm going to show you guys another trend line that I've been watching. Okay. So let's throw this on the 4 hour. All right. So this is the trend line that we had from the 3rd of November, right? So first tap right there, second, third, fourth, fifth. So, and then resistance right there, right? So once we broke it, we use it as resistance, boom, broke right through, and then retested that same line as support. So I think this is actually a pretty important trend line that maybe you want to start marking up on your charts, because there is something going on along this trend line that I feel like, there's some bull bear defense on one side or the other that's happening. And that doesn't really happen. Like, for example, price generally, like when there's trend lines, price generally kind of, does support, support, support. Once it breaks it, it does something like this and then rolls over, something like that. But this to me is interesting is, support, 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 breaks it, resistance pushes back, and then boom, breaks right up through it. Again, support and support. So something is happening here. I don't know what, but something to pay attention to. Okay. Definitely not something that you want to ignore. Pivot basis, we've tapped R2 as support, R3 as resistance. So like I said, we're basically trapped between this range right now. And it may seem like it's, like $1,000 range, but honestly, it's just a 5% range. Like, back here in August and September, okay, this area right here, you know what, let's go to that area, right? That was actually a 13% range, or maybe it was like a 8 or 9%. Let me see. So let's just say from this area to down here. So that's about 10%, right? Most of the price action kind of took place right around this area, as you can see, right? High to low, big high, pretty deep low, and then boom, it rolls over. So you can see ranging wise, this is not that big of a range as people may think. Okay. Let me see. RSI wise, nothing of concern yet. I'm not seeing anything particularly bad. Nothing bad as per OBV. Actually, OBV is showing a kind of divergence, if you will. So we have a lower high in price and a higher high in OBV, slight higher high. So this kind of tells me actually that it's possible that maybe we get that pop up like I told y'all earlier, right? Remember I said on the 1 hour basis that we have this X to clean up, meaning liquidity up there to clean up. So I would probably say that there's people who are heavily, again, maybe heavily buying in this area just to drive up the price, squeeze out these shorts, and maybe roll back down. That's again, because if I look at the OBV, it's basically telling me that, okay, we had a higher high in OBV, but price had a lower high, meaning price is kind of lagging. And I think it might catch up soon. Okay. Not a hard and fast rule, but just things that I kind of pay attention to in that regard. All right. Any questions that I can answer? Anything else I can cover? Let's see how our Aave position is doing. So remember, I think someone was talking about, Aave earlier. Let me go to the Aave, this chart right here. So someone was talking about, it looks like it's breaking out. But remember, all you guys got to do is on a 1 hour basis, make sure you draw out the highs of the range. So this is the high of the range. This looks like, pretty much a low of the range, but also, maybe a neckline of this head and shoulders pattern that was being created. Now, Aave looks like it wants to push higher, but it definitely wasn't ready for this push right here. Okay, so it came back actually on a 15-minute basis. It actually came back and pretty much tagged the previous area. Let me show y'all real quick. Previous pivot as support. You can see right there. So this was yesterday's pivot, meaning 20 minutes ago, before we closed the old daily candle and opened a new one. This was the pivot. So always, always, always watch the pivots. Notice how perfectly it tagged that pivot, found support. I mean, if you wanted to enter Aave, this was your chance, or if this one comes back to this pivot, that's another chance. Again, that's if you think Aave is going to push up higher. I'm not telling you to go long. I'm just saying if you want to go long, those are the markers that you need to be paying attention to. So I'm still, bullish on Aave. I still have, most of my position. Well, not most, but like 50% of my position because I cut a little bit, took some profit off the table. But again, it hasn't really changed my bullishness. I am still bullish, and I think Aave is going to do pretty well. Okay. All right. Any questions? Take a sip. All right. Well, I guess we got no more questions. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here, call it an evening on my end. Enjoy the evening, the night, wherever you are. Please do make sure that you size properly, take profits, move up stops, et cetera, et cetera. This is going to be a choppy market, like I said, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe we might see $19,000 Bitcoin tomorrow. Okay. All right. Y'all take care. Cheers.